In today's video, I'm going to be talking all about parasites. Everyone has parasites. It is just a fact of life. And I also understand that a lot of people get freaked out about the idea of parasites. So in this short video, I'm going to do a little bit of an overview of what exactly parasites are, what constitutes a parasite, what kind of foods or environments are they attracted to, and how you can actually deal with them, how you might be able to figure out if indeed you have a problem with parasites. So we are in a microbial universe. We are actually more microbe than we are human. We have bacteria on our skin. Our gut microbiome is full of different types of bacteria, protozoa, viruses, all different kinds of microorganisms. There is not one place in our body where we don't have microorganisms. We do have a symbiotic relationship with most of these microorganisms. However, there are particular organisms that we don't want to have in our body, and those are parasites. Basically, what parasites do is that they feed off a host and they don't actually contribute anything. If you look at bacteria and the other microorganisms that we have within our body, there's this relationship, this give and take that is happening between us and between the bacteria. When it comes to parasites, they're actually taking and they're not really giving a lot back. So that is how I kind of like to think of parasites, is that if there is an organism where it's just take, that is not the kind of organism you want inside your body. Now, parasites are very, very sneaky. They don't want to die. They have the ability to hide out in your body for years, often for decades. And if you don't make a point of going after them, they'll just kind of like hang out below the surface doing their thing. And you know that you are exposed to parasites when you feel certain types of symptomology. So if you have a lot of chronic aches and pains, brain fog, fatigue, sluggish digestion, or on the flip side, you're dealing with diarrhea, an autoimmune condition, or if you have cancer within your body, those are high parasitic states. Now, parasites have the ability to hijack your nervous system, your emotions, and your way of thinking. And so it's always really, really important to start to become mindful of the ways that they can infiltrate into your system. And I've experienced this firsthand. So this year I've done a couple of really deep parasite cleanses, and I've gotten out like up to 20-inch. I don't want to gross you out, but I've actually released like 16 to 20-inch worms. And they didn't come out on their own. Like, I actually had to do a pretty intensive parasite protocol to go after them and get them out of my system. And on the days where I was releasing worms like that, I found that my mood was off, my thinking wasn't really good, I didn't want to do anything. I actually kind of felt depressed. And then it occurred to me, I was having this experience of not feeling like myself within my body. And I remember I went out for a walk, and it was a beautiful sunny day. I went out for a walk and I'm like, why am I feeling like this? Why am I in this mood? I just don't get it. And then this light bulb went off for me. I was like, oh, it's not me. It's the parasites. They don't want to die. So they're having this like whole emotional response that I'm experiencing because I'm the host, right? So sure enough, later that day, I released, some pretty massive worms. And the second they were out of my body, I started to feel like myself again. I was like, oh, I'm back, right? So most people don't actually understand that a lot of times if you're dealing with depression or anxiety, it may not be yours. It could actually be the emotions of this parasitic entity that is living within your system. And there's actually a book, and I don't remember the name of it. If I do remember the name of it, I will have it put in the show notes. But I was reading a book a couple years back all about parasites. So I've been like doing this deep dive into parasites for the past couple of years. And one of the chapters outlined how certain mental health conditions were actually as a result of a parasitic infection, things like schizophrenia. And so this is why it is really, really important to understand parasites and understand how they affect the human body and how they hijack our nervous system, our brain, our mood, so that we're not labeling somebody with some kind of a mental health condition when really what they're dealing with is a parasitic infection. And we could just deal with the parasites using herbal protocols and getting rid of them and allowing someone to come back into a proper balance. And so, oftentimes, especially with mental health issues, the tendency is to just kind of medicate and forget about it, not looking at what someone's diet is like, not looking at, could they possibly be dealing with parasites, and then doing proper protocols for that. So that I hope I remember the name of that book. But anyway, so it's understanding how deep a parasite can go into the body and how it can actually really take a hold of a host and take over. I do have a parasites ebook where I go into like a deep dive into all of these different types of parasites and how you can pick them up and how they get passed between organisms. This is why anytime I do a parasite cleanse, my entire household is doing a parasite cleanse. My partner's doing one, my dogs are doing one, everybody's parasite cleansing. Because if one person within a household does a parasite cleanse and nobody else around them does it, then sure enough, it's only a matter of time before that person who did the parasite cleanse picks up parasites again. And that's how parasites manage to thrive and keep living, is they get passed from host to host to host. And people aren't really paying attention to how sneaky they can be. Parasites also have the ability to really hijack your cravings. So when you have cravings for breads, for pasta, for sugar, that's more often than not, it has to do with like parasites within your system, because that's the types of foods that they thrive on. And oftentimes when somebody has quite a bit of parasites, this is just what I've learned from experience of doing what I do. When somebody has a lot of parasites and there's a suggestion that they change their diet and they go on a protocol, they will usually aggressively push back and not want to do it. And it's not even the person. When I get a response like that, I know I'm not talking to the person. It's the parasitic entity within that person that is responding to what I'm putting out and telling them to do. They're having a negative reaction to that because obviously they don't want to die. And so, the good news is it is possible to get the parasites out of your body. The first thing is diet change is an absolute must. There is no way to get rid of parasites if you continue to feed the parasites and if you continue to consume the very foods that the parasites come in on. So we're talking about dairy, animal products. Those are more often than not the foods that are bringing the parasites into the system. I mean, you can also pick up parasites from fruits and vegetables that aren't washed properly, but at least with fruits and vegetables, you can wash them properly and make sure that everything is done correctly. In terms of meat and animal products, oftentimes the parasites are really embedded and you may not be able to get them all out, especially if you're somebody who doesn't cook things properly, or even in the preparation of animal products, you can be putting parasites all over your kitchen and not even realize it. And then you're touching your hands, you're touching surfaces, maybe you touch your face, maybe, like that's how somehow they manage to get into your system. So diet change is an absolute must. I always encourage people to go high alkaline, because that is what's going to shift the internal terrain within the body, because parasites thrive in an environment that's very acidic, that has a lot of lymphatic stagnation, lots of mucus. That's where they get to hide out. So when we start to shift the internal terrain of the body, make it more alkaline, then it's not as pleasant for them. So that's always the first thing. The second thing is making sure your elimination pathways are open. The fact of the matter is that most people don't go to the bathroom. They don't go number two very often, or they can't go to the bathroom without the assistance of a laxative or coffee or some product. And that means that someone's elimination pathways are not open. So if you're not going to the bathroom regularly, you can't do a parasite cleanse, because the anti-parasitic herbs are actually going to start to release all these parasites that need to be actually flushed out of the body. But if you're not actually going to the bathroom properly, then they're going to back up into the system and into the lymph potentially, and we don't want that. So the second step is always making sure that elimination pathways are open. Once that happens, then we can start to go after moving the chemicals and the heavy metals out of the body. This is a really, really important step, because parasites feed on heavy metals. They feed on certain nutrients as well. So sometimes when someone has certain nutrient deficiencies, like in certain B vitamins or iron, automatically I think they may actually have some type of a parasitic infection. Before we can really start addressing parasites, we have to address heavy metals and chemical toxins within the body, along with changing up the internal terrain in the body. Basically, make it a place where parasites don't want to hang out. And then, so when we do finally go in with the anti-parasitic herbs, then it's a lot easier to flush those parasites out. I will say that for somebody who has never done a parasite cleanse, or they're dealing with an autoimmune condition or cancer or some other chronic health condition, it's going to take several months of proper protocols, of different types of anti-parasitic protocols, to get everything out, because basically their whole system has been hijacked for an extended period of time, and we got to go in there and we got to do some deep work. The good news is, once you do that deep work, then you can just do maintenance protocols 2 to 3 times a year. And that's usually what I advise someone to do. Like if you're dealing with an autoimmune condition, or let's say you've gone through cancer, you've gone through chemo treatment, we need to get all the chemicals from the chemo out of your body. We need to go after the heavy metals as well, and then we start to do the parasite cleanse. I know that a lot of times people ask me for okay, well, what do I do? What's the general protocol? And with something like this, with addressing parasites, it varies from person to person. It depends on what is your diet currently. Are your elimination pathways open? What's the state of your health? No one can start doing anti-parasitic herbs right away. In fact, it can be really, really dangerous to do so. Really important to go step by step by step, and treat it like a proper protocol. Think of it as, you're going back to the gym and you're going to start working out again. Well, you wouldn't be lifting heavy weights on day one. You would start to slowly prepare your body and go step by step by step. Really have some reverence and respect for your body, and understand that this is a journey and it takes time. And it also can get emotional, especially when you're addressing parasites, because they have the ability to hijack your nervous system, your brain, your emotions. They're going to really mess with you. And so you have to have a strong resolve to do the work. And as someone who's a practitioner, there have been times when I've been parasite cleansing where it's been really challenging. And I have, people around me that are also practitioners that I reach out to, that I connect with. So it is really important that you have a community, or that you are working one-on-one with someone who is qualified to guide you through it. That you're not just winging it. You're not just buying some 3-day parasite cleanse online thinking that you're going to address every parasite in your body. You're not. And anyone who's advertising that is misleading you. It is really important to understand that there are steps. And the more you can follow those steps, the better your results are going to be, the better you're going to feel. One of the things that I am so grateful for is that I actually went through the proper steps, and I was willing to do those longer protocols, because I feel completely different in my body. Like, I feel like I found my voice in a way that I didn't have before. And my energy, my mood, my thinking, everything is so different. And that's because ended up doing like a 90-day herbal anti-parasitic protocol at the start of the year. Then I kind of paused for a stretch of time, and then I went back in for like another 60 days. And so I've done two very kind of extended protocols this year, but that's it. Now I've done the deeper work, and all I have to do is maintenance. And it makes a huge difference. You know, this is your health. And if you've spent your entire life doing certain things and creating an environment within your body where parasites have been able to thrive to the point where your body has a chronic health condition, well, that condition did not get created overnight. It's not going to resolve itself overnight. So just commit yourself to doing the work, love yourself enough to do the work, and you'll be amazed at how much better you feel in your body. So the work absolutely works, but you got to work it. I hope you found some value in this video. Please feel free to share this video with anyone you think could benefit. And if you are wanting to address the root causes of parasites within your body, you want to have some proper protocols, proper guidance, look to my group program, Elevate. It is linked up below in the show notes. And I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.